Alright, welcome back everybody. We're going to do a tomato review today on this tomato right here. And this is called the Kibic Tomato, or Kibits. I believe that's another name that's used. Now this is a foreign tomato if I'm not mistaken. It might be from Russia or Ukraine or somewhere in the Baltics, but I'm not 100% sure offhand. All that information will be in the title, description, all that good stuff. Alright, so let's take a look at the tomato. As you can see, it's a gorgeous little type of pendant tomato, or even plum tomato, or I wouldn't call it a pear tomato, but it's definitely a very gorgeous tomato. Reminds me of the Rio Grande tomato. Looks kind of like that, but this one's a little shaped different. It's got more of a, if you look at the bottom here, it's kind of pointy a little bit like that. All right, and so that's that. Here's a look at the inside. Very uniform. Now this looks like a commercial tomato to me. It's a very uniform commercial look. I can't say that it is, but it could be from another country. It could be a commercial variety. It's not GMO. A lot of people ask me, oh, it's commercial, you sell GMO. No, it's not GMO, guys. They don't make GMO tomatoes. It's the one thing that they didn't infect yet was GMO tomatoes. As far as I know, they didn't. Alright, so that's it on the inside. Let's go and bring out the scale and give it a weigh. And see what it weighs. I'm going to back you out a little bit. Alright, so let's see what that weighs. Okay, that weighs about 2.2 ounces, 2.4 ounces. I didn't touch it. 2.4 ounces. 2.5 ounces. Here's a little bit smaller one. 2 ounces. And we got one more. Oh, why is this reading 1.1? Alright, let's do that over. I don't know what happened. We'll do that over, guys. Okay, 1.3 ounces. That's a big difference, doesn't it? I said 2 ounces. That's a little big for 2 ounces. I mean, small. 1.8 ounces. 2 ounces for that one. And a little one here is roughly going to weigh about 1.3 ounces. Okay. All right, so you get the idea of what the weight is on these tomatoes. Okay. So let's do a bricks on it and see what the bricks is. Now again, I don't know much about the tomatoes offhand. This is mainly about the taste of the tomato. That's what we focus on. Again, you can read in the description all the information about it that I gather. And, you know, you can read about it there. I don't want to... People complain that these videos take too long as it is. So I add to it, it's just going to make it worse, right? Okay, it's about a 5.5 on the bricks. That's a good sign. That means it's going to be a good tasting tomato, hopefully. It's about 5 on the bricks, and we are about to give that a go. So let's give that a go. Alright, so first thing we're going to go with the sweetness. It was relatively below average. It was definitely not average. There was some sweetness in there, but it was more of a milding effect than sweetness. So I'm probably going to put that sweetness from a 0 to 50, 50 being the highest. We're probably going to put this at about 20. I almost want to lean on the 19 side. Wasn't a lot of sweetness, but again, that tomato may not have been totally ripe, so that sweetness might be a little higher. We'll stay with 20, 21 on the sweetness. It wasn't very dominant, but this particular variety of tomato really doesn't need a lot of sweetness. It's the type of tomato that it is. Now the tangy part was a little bit on the tangy side. It was definitely, you know, it had a good amount of tang, but there was a tardy. What's throwing me off right now is there was a tardiness. I'm picking that up a little bit. That tanginess, I would say that the tanginess was probably somewhere around 28 to 30, somewhere in there. 28 to 30 on the tanginess. It was something like that. So it was really tangy, not very much sweet. However, the tomato flavor itself really carried itself pretty nicely with this tomato. Has a very nice effect. This is the kind of a tomato you'd want to chop up and use in, like, for example, making tacos. you want to add a certain type of tomato to that, yeah, you can add sloppy, wet, juicy, sweet tomatoes to your tacos. But this particular variety of tomatoes tastes like it would go really good with tacos, to me, in my opinion. It's very firm tomato, and it'll chop up nice and keep it form. And it's not an overwhelming flavor. It'll blend with the lettuce nicely, and then you can really taste the meat of the taco, which is really what you want to taste, is the flavor of the taco meat and the seasonings you put in it. That's what you really want to taste. You don't want to be overwhelmed by tomato flavor. So this type of tomato would be good for that. But the flavor part of it, I'm going to probably say that the flavor part was just slightly above average. So we're going 0 to 10 on the flavors. We're going to say that the intensity of that flavor was probably about a 6. It was a pretty intense flavor, but the tanginess was really kind of strong with that flavor. Kind of really held both their ends on it. The tangy, it was just low in the sweetness. Again, maybe that sweetness will come up a little bit if I had waited till they were fully ripe, and maybe it should be a little sweeter, but that could be my fault too. Moisture was about maybe a 4.5, with 10 being the highest. It was a little bit below average as far as moisture goes, but again, that could be because these tomatoes maybe aren't totally ripe, but I did expect a little bit more moisture in there. They were kind of on the low side, but that's okay. That doesn't, anywhere between 4 and 6, you're good with tomato flavor, and 6 to 6.5 on the moisture is perfect. That's like the ideal range. As far as tardy and sour, yeah, there was a little tardiness in there. I get that little feeling on the back of my jaw. If you put your fingers right behind your jaw, there's a little spot there. I can pick that up with if it's tardy or sour, or anything like that. And it did have a little bit of that effect, and that effect would be very similar to like eating a lemon. You get that little thing goes on in the back of your jaw. That I did get a little bit of that from that, so I am going to give the tardy and or sour effect a 1 on that. There were no undertones at all, so that's going to be a 0. Texture was it was pretty firm and held together pretty nicely. Skins broke up nicely, so I'm going to go average on texture. I'm not going to say it was anything phenomenal. It was slightly on the dry side. Wasn't necessarily chalky, but it was firm, the inside. Again, that could be because these tomatoes may not be totally ripe. But I left them out here for a little while, and they seem to be like in their best stage you'd want to get them. So, but again, they're a little bit on the firm side. So we'll go about average with that. This is a very commercial type of texture. That's the best way I could describe this. The whole texture of the tomato, the whole appeal of this tomato is very commercial-like. So it's been bred for perfect color, perfect skin texture. Perfect flesh texture, and moisture is generally low because you don't want a moist tomato in a commercial variety tomato. They rot too quick. They need to be shelf stable for a while, so the moisture tend to be. This is a very commercial type of tomato, in my opinion. I don't know if it is, but in my opinion, it's a very commercial variety. And as far as production goes, it was okay with production. It wasn't quite as productive as a lot of my other plants, so probably go with a 0 to 10, 10 being the highest. I'll probably go 4.5. It wasn't the most productive in the world, but yeah, I got a bunch of tomatoes out of it, and we're going to be using these today in the salad, but I wasn't too impressed with the production. Maybe we'll grow it out next year. We'll see if the production doubles or whatnot, but again, I wasn't terribly impressed with the with the production on it. So how would I rate this tomato as far as from a 1 to 10, 1 being the highest? How would I rate this tomato? I'd say it was about average. Nothing. I'm not gonna go crazy about it or anything. We'll give it another grow next year. We'll see if we do a little better, but we'll go about 5 on that scale. 1 being the highest, so you're about midway on that scale. It's a commercial variety tomato, guys. This is a perfect tomato for like anybody who's used to eating store-bought tomatoes their whole life. You want to give them a tomato. Be careful giving them heirloom tomatoes because they may not like them. But if you give them this tomato, they're going to love it. You might not like it, but your guests will like it because that's all they eat is commercial tomatoes. So this would be a good variety for that type of application. But I grow it anyway because I like to try new varieties. Alright, so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the information I can get on this variety tomato in the description below and on my website. But keep in mind, anytime I update any of the descriptions, I'm usually just updating the website and I don't waste my time with the videos. So always visit the website for the latest updated information. I will also leave a link below in the description where you can click the link and visit the website and buy the seeds if you decide to. Alright, so that's really about it, guys. That's my tomato review for the Kibic or Kibits tomato. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.